When Dante Alighieri set out to write what would become the Divine Comedy, he was not simply crafting a work of poetry. He was constructing an entire moral and spiritual architecture. A vision that would speak with equal authority to his own time and to every century thereafter. Born in 1265, in Florence, Dante belonged to a city whose brilliance, in art, poetry, and intellectual life, was matched only by its deep political turbulence. The violent feud between the Guelphs and the Ghibellines split Florence into factions, and Dante's eventual political involvement, combined with the bitter twists of fortune, led to his exile in 1302. That exile was absolute. A decree that if he returned, he would be burned alive. It was in that state of dislocation, stripped of home and political influence, that Dante began a journey in verse. One that would take both his narrator and his readers from the depths of hell to the heights of heaven. The work is divided into 3 canticles: Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. But its unity is one of moral necessity and artistic design. The journey begins in darkness, in the famous dark wood, symbol of confusion, sin, and lost purpose. This moment is profoundly human. A pilgrim halfway through life, confused, surrounded by threats he does not fully understand, blocked by 3 ominous beasts. Salvation comes in the form of Virgil, the Roman poet of the Aeneid, who serves as guide and protector. Virgil represents human reason and the moral clarity of classical thought, an essential companion for the terrors ahead. Inferno takes the reader downward in a spiral through the 9 circles of hell, each one organized with meticulous logic, each punishment tailored as a contrapasso, a reflection of the sinner's crime. The lustful are thrown forever in storms without peace, mirroring the unending restlessness of their desire. The gluttonous wallow in filth. The wrathful claw at each other endlessly in a swamp of rage. The deeper circles are reserved for those who betray trust. Traitors, frozen neck-deep in the ice of Cocytus, with Satan himself trapped at the very center, chewing eternally on the 3 greatest traitors in human and divine history: Judas Iscariot, Brutus, and Cassius. This is theology rendered as geographical precision. But it is also politics. Dante does not hesitate to place figures from his own lifetime: rivals, corrupt priests, even former friends, into the eternal flames. Inferno therefore becomes both universal allegory and intensely personal reckoning. The transition to Purgatorio is no mere escape. It is an ascent, achieved only by climbing. Purgatory, in Dante's vision, is a mountain rising from the opposite side of the world, formed by the displacement of land when Lucifer fell from heaven. Here, the souls are not damned, but saved, though still burdened by the weight of their moral failings. Each terrace of the mountain corresponds to one of the 7 deadly sins, and the penances are designed to reverse the tendencies of those sins. The proud are bent under heavy stones. The envious have their eyes sewn shut. The slothful are driven to run. But unlike hell, these punishments are infused with hope. The souls here accept their suffering as a path toward purification. Virgil's guidance continues. But as Dante approaches the summit, pure reason must yield to a higher form of understanding. Virgil departs, and Dante's long-lost Beatrice appears, the real-life Florentine woman he had once loved from afar. In the comedy, she is both a personal muse and a theological symbol, the embodiment of divine grace, faith, and love. The progression into Paradiso is a shift, not only in geography, but in the very nature of perception. Here, Dante's ascent is no longer bound to physical steps. He moves through concentric spheres, corresponding to medieval cosmology. The moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the fixed stars, and beyond. In each sphere, he encounters souls who embody ideals and virtues perfect. The light becomes overwhelming, the music unearthly, and Dante's language itself strains to contain what he sees. By the final cantos, the vision blurs into pure light, culminating in the sight of the divine, the love that moves the sun and the other stars. This ending is both the ultimate mystical experience and the logical conclusion of the moral architecture established from the very first canto. The journey moves from error to understanding, from disorder to harmony, from alienation to union. Yet what keeps the Divine Comedy alive for modern readers is not only its theological system, but its human core. The dark wood is an image anyone can understand. The moment of being lost, of having strayed from what one knows is right. Virgil, as idealized guide, can be read as any source of wisdom. A friend, a teacher, a book, or history itself that helps us navigate hardship. The sinners of hell are mirrors in which we confront our own weaknesses, exaggerated yet recognizable. The climbers of Purgatory remind us of the slow and often uncomfortable process of self-improvement. And Paradise offers, if not a literal vision of heaven, then at least a metaphor for those rare moments when life feels coherent, luminous, and complete. Dante's choice to write in vernacular Tuscan Italian rather than in Latin was revolutionary. It elevated a local dialect to a literary standard and unified a cultural identity. His invention of the terza rima rhyme scheme creates a chain-like propulsion. Each stanza's middle rhyme becomes the outer rhymes of the next, pulling the reader ever forward, echoing the inevitability of the moral journey. His integration of contemporary politics into the eternal order was daring, blurring the boundary between personal vendetta and universal justice, sparking debates that still remind us how art can be both timeless and rooted in its own moment. The comedy's influence is immense. Artists, from Botticelli to William Blake to Gustave Doré, illustrated its visions. Composers, playwrights, and novelists have echoed its structure or imagery. Filmmakers and game designers even in the 21st century, continue to repurpose Dante's hell as a blueprint for imagining human darkness. Its moral allegory has been invoked in debates about justice. Its architecture borrowed in works as different as, say, Seven and Inception. Its metaphors adapted to describe psychological states or political corruption. Reading it today, one might not share Dante's exact theology or medieval worldview. Yet the poem's power remains. Its moral force lies in its insistence on the possibility of transformation. No matter how far one has fallen, the poem suggests there exists a path, difficult though it may be, toward cleansing and renewal. And its final image of the cosmic order, moved by love, remains one of the most radiant affirmations in world literature. When the pilgrim emerges from hell, climbs the slopes of purgatory, and ascends into the ever-expanding light, he is not just Dante. He is every human being who has faced darkness, fought through the weight of their own flaws, and sought a vision that makes sense of the chaos. The Divine Comedy is, in its deepest truth, a mirror. It shows us the damnations we create, the slow work of self-redemption, and the possibility, however fleeting, of touching the eternal. And when the last line arrives, the love that moves the sun and the other stars, it leaves us not with fear or judgment, but with the quiet certainty that behind all paths, all losses, all transformations, there is something greater, pulling us forward, waiting to be found when the journey is done.